to propel themselves through the water. As Tobias Chanji went out and about to just experience what does it take to be in this kind of kayaking, which he actually tried it as well. Of course, you shall be expecting a lot from Chanji, who never disappoints.
Unlike kayaking where one sits, stand-up paddling is a kind of surfing believed to have originated from Hawaii. They come out in handy during outdoor recreation, fitness, racing, sightseeing, or even fishing. When we set foot at Diani Water Sports, we find one Hassan Omar filling air into one of the paddling board, ready to go into the waters. On him is also a canoe paddle that consists of a blade, shaft, and a handle. Surfing can be done on rivers, lakes, and seas. It is safe and does not require expensive lessons or special conditions. All that one needs is proper balancing.
Na ukiendesha lazima uangalie upepo ili ukirudi upepo pate kuleta pale ulipoanzia. Kwa hivyo haijalishi mtoto mdogo, mtu mkubwa anafanya.
And unlike other water sports, one does not need to be an expert in swimming.
Hii ni si lazima kwa sababu unapewa life jacket na huwa ni inafanywa when water iko low tide, haiwezi kufanya kama iko kwenye waves. Huwa inafanya maji kidogo kabisa.
Those who want to either kayak or do stand-up paddling can always part with a small amount. And if one wants to soap, they can always start with a kayak.
Watu na charge wana hawa ni shilingi 1,000. Kayak huwa iko kuna ya double na single. Double inachukua watu wawili. Yeah. Na double na single inachukua mtu mmoja. Hiyo haihitaji hata kujua kuogelea pia, kwa sababu wanakaa kwa wanatumia kupaddle.
Well, today I tried kayaking, and it doesn't mean that it's the only water sport here. Well, there are a variety of them that one can choose from. Tobias Chanji, KTN News, Adventure Diaries.
Quite an interesting experience there. Thank you, Chanji. Still staying with matters coastal Kenya. Well, coastal Kenya is set to reap big from a 2.5 billion shilling investment in the housing sector. The project launched recently in Kikambala, Kilifi County. While the project being executed by Fairdeal Properties looks to deliver actually affordable housing units, the properties dubbed Sandy Shore Apartments are looking to bridge the acute housing deficit in the county, as well as attract home buyers to the touristic county.
Usually what happens is that beaches are owned by hotels and big companies. Here we have made it a process where even somebody who wants just a one-bedroom unit, which is worth only 7 million shillings, and he can own a piece of the beach. So this project will have about 200 apartments. It is going to have a conference room. It is going to have children's play facilities, 4 big swimming pools, and of course the sea. And sea sports, restaurants, and all those things will be at in the project.
Well, let's revisit our conversation on the state of trade. I still have with me Gabriel Negatu from the Africa Development Fund. And Gabriel, thanks for staying with us. And as we wrap up this conversation now, one of the key highlights that we did experience last week was the budget speech by the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Henry Rotich, a very good friend, tabling a budget of 3.02 trillion shillings. At the same time, his taxation measures are going to hit a number of Kenyans hard, especially the low-income earners. But looking at the big picture, what are your sentiments around the budget?
Thank you, Abi. Look, the budget is a manifestation of the developments in the economy. Clearly, the Kenyan economy is growing. And I think last year had a GDP growth of about 6.3 So when you see an expansionary budget, it simply reflects what is happening in the region. Now, relative to the rest of East Africa, the East African community, the Kenyan budget is by far the largest. But I want to say it is a fairly well-balanced budget. I mean, I know CS Rotich has really worked on this and negotiated with all manners of stakeholders to come up with a budget that reflects Kenya, that looks like Kenya, and not skewed in one side or one form or another. So it's large, but it shows the growth we are experiencing in this economy and the growth we will continue to experience.
When you look at the regional budgets, even for Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, there seems to be a common theme around them where most of the finance ministers are actually allocating a lot of funds to infrastructure. For instance, under the Big Four agenda for Kenya, the budgetary allocation stands at over 400 billion shillings. And from where you sit, what are the quick gains that when you see such allocations compared to what you were earlier speaking to of a deficit of $100 billion in infrastructure?
Yeah, clearly the budget in Kenya, and as the CS indicated in his speech, is aligned to the Big Four. The Big Four are the priority sectors of the government, the people and government of Kenya. They reflect Kenya's needs. There's not too many things outside of this Big Four that could become a priority. So over the years, and this is now the second, third year that he has aligned the budget, you are beginning to see progress in these areas. If you look at health, the number of people who have now employed into NHF and the number of medical facilities and so on has increased significantly. More Kenyans are gaining access to the health sector. This is responding to the need of Kenyans. Food security, notwithstanding the drought and the acts of nature that we experience every now and then, production actually increased in Kenya. Global prices and a few other things, of course, have dampened the price, for example, tea and coffee. But production of cereals, production of horticulture, all of these have increased. Again, this is because of government's continued and focused commitment to grow the sector. The other is manufacturing. Again, I think manufacturing has experienced a 4.2% growth over the past year.
All right.
So the investments that we are making in these, and then of course housing, but the investments we are making in these sectors is beginning to pay off. And part of it is, again, look at manufacturing. We are laying the ground for manufacturing by taking the train to Naivasha. You've got power there, geothermal power, readily available. You put in there the SGR, and Naivasha becomes a hub for manufacturing with access to the port in Mombasa. So I think the direction is correct. The growth is not fully there yet, but clearly the direction of travel, the trajectory is in the right direction.
All right. And thank you so much, Gabriel. That's where we want to bring it to a close. Thank you for making time for us and, of course, having to share with us insights around this very important subject.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Well, that's why we bring it to a close this afternoon on Business Today. Thank you for your feedback as well. I'm seeing quite a host of you tweeting, asking questions to Gabriel, but because of time, we might not be able to take them in, but I'm sure he'll be able to respond via his social media accounts. But so far, so much feedback. Thank you so much to all that are joining us on our social media platforms. Well, my name is Abi Gina. Coming up next is our Swahili team with more news from across the country. Keep it locked on KT News, where you get the whole story.